right. Well, good morning and welcome. I'm Liz Clevin with the Encompass Lending Group. And this
I'm Brad Turpin.
My partner, and we teach a series of classes here to help you guys build your business. So we've been doing this. We started with business planning for the year, and then we did marketing planning. We're doing time blocking and productivity this week. Next week is database, and a whole bunch of others follow. So
and then we'll fall back into a repeat of the initial. So that way, if anybody missed some of this stuff with the holidays, you can always catch a refresh.
But in addition to providing great loan service for your clients, we really believe in helping you guys build your business. We have a lot of tools to help you do so in addition to education. But we have a partner who we want to introduce. Her name is Sharice in the back.
Hello, I'm Sharice with Veris Title, so I'm one of the other power partners here with my home group, but work very closely with Liz and Brad. I can help with marketing, business cards, open house flyers, all those fun things, but also we have a couple good tools for leads and all that fun jazz. So if you're looking for that, let me know. I'd be happy to help you. And then of course, title escrow. So
yes, Veris is right there. They're amazing. They have a tech-driven platform, so it makes it really seamless for your clients. Her office is there. We have one in the corner, so stop in. We're always here to help you. But with that, let's kick it off.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Do you want to do quick intros or skip today?
Let's do it real quick.
Yeah.
Let's go around and tell us who you are, how long you've been with my home group or in the real estate industry, and what you expect to get out of this today.
So my name is Angel Quinones. I'm with Real Broker.
Awesome.
Cool.
I've been doing real estate since 2017,
Great.
but I've had my license since about 22.
Okay.
And I'm hoping to get out of this more. It's more tracking. That's going to be my word of the year: tracking.
Awesome. Love it. Thanks for
Yep.
coming.
Yep.
Yeah.
Doris
Doris.
Walls, been with my home group for 2 years, have had my license for that long. And my goal is to organize. I've been drinking from the fire hose and it's time to stop. And
So many agents are that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's okay. That's why we're here.
Yep.
Piero, and I've been with my home group for 4 years now, and I'm hoping to just get myself organized and see where things are falling through the cracks.
Awesome.
Perfect. Sounds good.
Well, before we start, I'm going to tell a quick story about why this particular topic is so important to me. So, over a decade ago now, let's see, I'm trying to think about my son's ages. Jack is 12 and a half. So yeah, probably about that 12 years ago, maybe 11. I was doing great in my career, really busy, making great money. I had a 1-year-old, I was pregnant, and I was working with a productivity coach at the time that my company paid for me, which was great. But I was absolutely overwhelmed and exhausted all the time. I worked all day, get home at 6 o'clock, enough to basically feed my son, have dinner with him, do bath time, books, bedtime, get right back on the computer and work again. It was really hard on my marriage. I was pregnant too, so she's like, you are going to kill yourself if you don't stop this. So she put me through a series of exercises that basically showed me how ineffectively I was using my time, and she really put it into check in my brain forever that if you don't prioritize your personal life, your professional life is going to always be in shambles. And so she's like, if you want more time with your family and if you want more time with your kids, and if this is a priority to you, you have to put it in your schedule as a non-negotiable and work your business around it. And I was like, what? You can do that? I thought I had to work all the time, right? But since then, it enabled me to really get control of my life and get control of my time and, get what I needed to get done for work done within the time frames that I allowed for work, and still have the family that I wanted and the hobbies that I wanted and time with the people that I love. So it completely changed my life and my business. And that's when I put a lot of this into practice that we're going to talk about today. But I wanted to share that because I think it's really important, because so many people, as a real estate agent, you feel like you have to just run ragged all the time and work all the time. And you don't. You don't have to. You can set boundaries with your time, you can set boundaries with your schedule and still be a top performer if you're doing it effectively.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we're going to talk about today. All right. Do you want to kick this off, Brad?
Absolutely. So here's our real problem. Agents don't have a time problem, they have a priority problem. And this is really the basis of time management. Too many interruptions, too much reactive work, not enough productive work. not enough protected income time, and days feel busy but very unproductive. And so many times we have that, right? You get through the day and you're exhausted, but what did you really accomplish, right? And that's what we're going to go over, is really how to make it feel like that at the end of the day, not only were you busy and you're exhausted, but it's like, man, I got a lot done today, right? So, and the key is to not to prioritize what's on your schedule, but to schedule your priorities. And the key part to that is really figuring out what is a priority. And we'll be covering that also.
And this is the thing too. She called me out. She's like, "You say your family is a priority, but why are you getting home at 6 o'clock when your son goes to bed at 7:30?" Right? Like, you need to figure out. So it's good to call yourself out on things sometimes. If something's a priority to you, you have to allow the time in your schedule for it. So if health and fitness is a priority for you, you have to schedule it, right? It doesn't just magically happen. If family time is, but that's one that I think is really important, and then fitting in business and productive time around it.
Well, and to that point too, just keep in mind, I mean, let's say health and fitness is a priority for you. If you don't schedule that in and you don't get that accomplished, then you're starting out the day feeling as a failure because you didn't make yourself presentable to yourself, right? So just something to keep in mind.
Absolutely. Real estate is uniquely hard because we don't have a boss. And what does that mean? We can do what we want most every day, right? We have no fixed schedule. We don't have things we have to do on most days, so it leaves us with a lot of time chaos, I would say.
Breathing down your neck,
Yeah.
giving you a deadline.
Yep. But clients expect instant responses a lot of the time, right? So it makes us feel that time pressure a little bit. And our income is delayed. So it's hard because a lot of times we work really hard and we don't see the fruits of our effort for a long time, or it's for free because the deal doesn't pan out. So it's easy to get in a mental lull and be frustrated when a deal falls out or when something doesn't work out because you're like, geez, I spent all this time on it. And I'm not going to do that again, right? But ultimately, how you can combat all of this is time blocking. And that's really how top agents replace the structure that they don't get from a boss. Because a boss is going to hold you accountable, right? So since we don't have one, we really have to hold ourselves accountable. And the busy versus effective thing, I think, is such an important point that agents really, all people really, need to understand in this business. So we can all be busy and fill our days, as Brad said, with a ton of things. And in this industry, there's classes you can go to every single day at every different brokerage. There's happy hours, lunch and learns, home tours, all this stuff, right? And some of that can be productive, depending on what your purposes there are. But a lot of it is just busy time. And that's the same thing with social media and, you know, a lot of the other things that we do. So I challenge you, all of the tasks in your business, ask yourself, is this a busy task or an effective task? And this chart kind of shows us what's the difference. So busy people fill their time with tasks rather than prioritizing results. Effective people figure out how to spend less time getting more done. And that's the ultimate goal, right? Spend less time with the same results. Busy people work without systems or ways of tracking progress. And this is a really important one. So a lot of busy agents are ones that don't have CRMs and don't have drip campaigns and don't have effective marketing set up. So they're constantly feeling like they're always having to outreach all the time because they didn't implement a system that's going to do that for them. But if you have a great system in place for you, it's going to help you with database management. It's going to help you with lead cultivation. It's going to help you with all those things. So you're not constantly feeling like you have all this to do, right? It takes some of that off your plate. So effective agents use systems to track their goals and accomplishments. Busy people tackle tasks at random without prioritizing by importance or urgency. How many people do that? So it's really easy to say, oh, I have all this to do today. I'm just going to get this done because it's quick and easy and I'm going to get this done. But then guess what? You didn't get like the two most important things you needed to get done, right? So effective people always think about that and they prioritize, what do I have to get done today? What's the most important? And they get that done first. Busy people spend a lot of time on things that don't actually matter. And I'd say the biggest one in our industry is social media. And I'm not saying social media isn't important, because I think it can be if you're strategic with your plan for social media and the content that you post. But most agents spend an hour a day on social media just scrolling, right? And seeing what other agents are doing. And that ultimately is not effective for you. So be selective with the use of your time and resources. It's okay to say no to things. And busy people equate doing things with accomplishing things, and they're not always the same. Doing things is just sometimes filling your time with nonsense. Accomplishing is choosing the most direct path to get it done with less work, right? So I challenge you to always think before you do things, whether it's busy or effective. Brad, you want to talk to us a little bit about time blocking?
Absolutely. So time blocking is assigning a job to every hour. And so within your, this is why it's important to Liz's point earlier of getting your personal life in order, because you need to time block your personal life to be able to know what you have available for your business life. And so you need to decide in advance how time is used because time blocking is going to reduce the decision fatigue and turn your intentions into appointments. So what gets scheduled gets done, right? And so that's where prioritizing comes in. So if you have a list of items, then, figure out which ones are going to be the most top priority and then time block that time for that. And it might not be a single task item, right? I mean, it might be, let's say, marketing, okay, you need to get your website up and then get your social media page built. So now it's just a matter of time blocking that element into, an hour timestamp, but at least you're getting a portion of that done, right? And then maybe that's now micro blocking, taking a big task and then putting it into a smaller task that now you can use that time allotted accordingly, right? So time blocking is a huge key element that you really have to portray it because and this is the way it is for me now. If it doesn't fit my calendar, it doesn't get done, bottom line. Because now everything, my day is so absorbed by time block. So just always keep that in mind, and that's why priority is such a big importance.
So who is scared of time blocking? Honestly. And I think a lot of people are, right?
Yeah.
And especially agents who get into this business because they don't want a boss, they don't want to be micromanaged, they don't want to have someone breathing down their neck. But I want you to think of time blocking as freedom. And I know that that's a weird way to think about it, but it really does allow you freedom from a lot, but mostly decision fatigue, like you said. Because when you wake up and you're like, what should I do today? Maybe I'll get this done, maybe I'll get this done. But ultimately, I mean, it's easy to go through a whole day and really not get anything productive done for our business and not do the database calls, not do lead generation, not do the things that we need to do. But if you hold yourself accountable by blocking the time for it, you're like 90% more likely to stick to it. So we'll talk to you about some things. So who time blocks now at all? Charisse, yep. Do you guys know?
Put stuff on the calendar.
Okay. Do you stick to it typically?
Typically, yeah, it's on the calendar.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
It's
Okay.
good.
I think one of the biggest fears of time blocking too is, a fear of failure in the sense of I'm going to time block out my day and then not have a full day. And so therefore you're looking at your day like, what am I getting done, right? But it's important to start even if it's empty
Yeah.
because
Few
now
blocks.
you know you have time available that now you can take those bigger tasks and break those up and then input those. So I think fear is a big component of why people don't time block.
That's a good point. All right, so let's talk about some time blocking basics. We would want you to get your 3 primary business activities and your personal activities into your calendar every week. And we're going to talk about what those 3 primary business activities are. You guys are going to fill out a little worksheet and decide, but ultimately, prospecting is what they should be. Prospecting is non-negotiable in this business. If you want to actually have business as a real estate agent, you have to go get it, right? It doesn't just fall in our laps. So prospecting has to be in your calendar. It's non-negotiable. We suggest 2 hours per day, and that's sometimes an hour in the morning, an hour in the evening, however you want to do it. And maybe it's not every day. Maybe you do 3 hours at an open house, and that counts for some of it, right? Or 4 hours or 5. So, but ultimately, if you can get to 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, so 10 hours of prospecting a week, that's typically where most agents need to be to see the results that they want in their business. Examples depending on your activities. If you are open house heavy agent, if that's how you generate your business, you should really be doing 2 a week at a minimum. 1 on the weekdays, 1 on the weekends. You don't have to spend your whole weekend doing it, but that really to see the number of leads based on the traffic that you're getting at open houses. We have an open house class, we go all into this, but really you should be doing 2 a week. If that's a primary lead generation activity for your business, there's no reason that you can't fit into a week. 2 days per week for showing buyers, and what we recommend is put the blocks in your calendar even if you don't have the clients. Meaning, if you know, so if you had a client, you know that Tuesdays and Thursdays afternoons were the best time for you to show clients, show homes, you put those blocks in your calendar every Tuesday and Thursday from 3 to 5 p.m. or whatever it's going to be, and that'll be your showing buyer time. If you have a buyer, great, those are your slots that are available. If for some reason that doesn't work for them, that's okay. You can shuffle the block to a different time, right, to make sure it gets done. But if you don't have a buyer that week, that just became 2 hours in your day that opened up to do for all those additional projects in our business that we want to get to, right, that we don't schedule. So put them in your calendar. 3 or 4 half-hour blocks for checking email per day. And we're going to talk about this in a little bit. We highly, highly encourage that you are not captive to your email all day long. And we're going to tell you why in a minute. It's proven to be much more productive if you only check it a couple times a day, and then it's focused, intentional time on your responses. And then returning calls and emails should be a scheduled activity as well. So I'm going to go back to this. I know it's super hard to see, but I had an agent like challenge me, and she's like, there's no way that you could get all this done and fit it in your calendar and still have a life. And I'm like, okay, I think you're wrong. Respectfully, I'm going to show you. So I interviewed one of the top agents in town, and he makes over 500 a year minimum. He has a big team, highly productive, still in production, so still showing and listing and things like that. And the reason I asked him is because he's a dad at my kid's school. He coaches all of his kids in sports, so he's free in the evenings coaching his kids. He goes to church with his family every Sunday. He does all the things that he wants to do. So I interviewed him, and he said, my days are very, very scheduled. So it starts it's really difficult to see on here. I'll send you guys a screenshot, but at 7:45 to 8:30 in the morning is morning mindset. So he's like, that's where I prepare for my day. I have my coffee, I get ready to go. And positive affirmations. I plan exactly what I want my ideal outcomes for the day are going to be. If he had time, he did a quick workout during that time too, but that got him ready for the day. 8 to 8:30 is emails and phone calls that came in after 7 p.m. the night before. So he does not answer his phone after 7 p.m. His clients know that. If they call him after 7, it's going to get returned at 8 o'clock the next morning. And that's just what he does. He prospects from 9 to 10 a.m. He has fire time from 10 to 11. What's fire time? That's dealing with his transactions, his actual deals. So that's when he's talking to his lender, talking to his title company, scheduling inspections. And he's like, I scheduled it at that time of day on purpose because I don't want to bombard my escrow officer at 8 a.m. when she's just getting into the office and hasn't had a chance to look at the file yet. I don't want to call my lender at 8 a.m. when they're not ready to talk to me either. So it's a little bit later in the morning where if something needs to get done today, it can still get done today. Then it's emails and phone calls again from 11 to 11:30. Then he has lunch from 11 to 12:30. He gives himself a half-hour buffer there to like go get gas or pick up dry cleaning. And then every afternoon between 1 and 4, he had a block either for an open house, showing buyers, listing appointments, buyer consults. And then prospecting from 4 to 5 was database calls, trying to schedule appointments, database calls, people that he knew. And then 5 to 5:30 was wrapping up his day, planning for tomorrow. And he was religious with this schedule. And he's like, granted, not every week's going to look like this because maybe, again, my buyers need to look at 9 in the morning. So he said, I shuffle the blocks as I need, but I make sure all of them get done. Nothing gets deleted. And I thought that was a really beautiful example. But he has been practicing time blocking for years. So if you're not at that level and it stresses you out to see every minute of your day scheduled, don't start with that. Just start with the prospecting activities first and your family stuff. And then you can start to add this all in later. But it really does help when you have those blocks in there already for the productive business activities and that client time scheduled. And then if client time doesn't get scheduled, that's time when you're working on your CRM, you're working on marketing campaigns, you're doing social media posts, things like that.
And people are, most people are creatures of habit. So by having those time blocks set up on a consistent basis, then you end up developing a normal habit in doing so. Which is no different than our military, right?
Yeah.
They get up at a set time, they eat at a set time. Everything is time blocked when you're in the military for that discipline. And that's all we're doing here is we're just creating a new discipline.
Great point. you want to go through this one? This is the hardest
yeah,
one, I would say.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So we've got the reactive time versus proactive time. And what is the definition of that? So reactive means something screams at you to cause your attention in a squirrel moment that you have to now divert yourself and your attention from what was planned to go and handle this over here. Versus a proactive time, which is it's predetermined, pre-planned, pre-set out, and you already know what that's going to look like, both in time and energy, right? So in the reactive time, a lot of people will then fall subject to emails, text messaging, DMs, fire drills, right, which could be an active file that is screaming loud, whatever the case may be. But those are all things that are going to distract you. And it's so easy to lose yourself within those, especially like text messages. How many people have group texts from family and friends, right? And sometimes you're on the phone and it's hard to even get stuff done because you just keep getting being, right? So, the easiest thing there is now, okay, well then set up a boundary and, put that on do not disturb during certain times. And then you can go back and review it later, right? Email, we're talking about time blocking that. So it keeps you from being distracted and having those squirrel moments so that you can stay focused on what you have time blocked in front of you. And so that's where proactive time, lead generation, right? Prospecting, that's number one thing we have to always do. If you're not prospecting, you're not growing, you're not even completing your business. You're drying up. Follow-up, because you have to follow up on that lead generation afterward. Marketing and skill building. Because if you stop reinvesting in yourself, both in education and skill set, then you're going to fall subject to just being a very low agent. You always have to be building yourself. Because top agents protect their proactive time like it's a listing appointment. Think about that one, right? You get a listing appointment, you do everything you can to make sure and show up at that appointment on time, prepared. You should treat all of your time blocks in the same fashion.
It really changes your whole mindset, your productivity, everything. And I love this chart because it's so true. And I've worked with a lot of top agents over the years, a lot of top team leads, broker owners, all sorts of stuff, highly successful people. And if you ask them, how are you doing? I have never heard one of them be like, I'm so busy. Not one of them. And it's because being busy is a privilege. Having income, having a lot of deals is a privilege that they worked hard for, right? So to them, busyness is not even like a word that they use in their vocabulary because they are productive with their time. They know exactly what they have to do, what they have to get done to be successful, and they do it. And it's really funny because on the flip side, I've talked to lots of other agents who are like, oh, I'm so busy. And I'm like, but you only have one deal. Like, how are you so busy if that's all you have in your pipeline right now, right? And no judgment, but it's the other, because they're filling their time with tasks that aren't really meaningful for their business. So I think that's an important point to think about. And again, if you just ask yourself before you start a new task for your business, is this proactive, productive, revenue generating for my business? I think that will really help you eliminate a lot of the noise and fluff that we deal with. So Brad already talked about this a little bit, but ultimately the 3 money-making activities in this business are lead generation, number 1, prospecting, lead follow-up or nurturing people, right, to become clients, and then client conversion and serving clients. So basically generating leads, following up with clients and your database to get business, right, and then working on deals that you currently have. Those are the only 3 things that really matter in your business to right now as a primary money-making activity. And a lot of people are like, well, my marketing and this and that. Marketing is icing on the cake, not the cake. And that's my analogy I always say, because if you don't have the lead generation, that's the cake that you build, marketing doesn't matter. It's ultimately, nobody eats frosting by itself, right? It's like, it can support your lead generation efforts, but it can't be your only lead generation efforts. And really, you've got to think about it. Admin work supports your income, but it doesn't create it. And if you think about a lot of stuff in our business that is admin work, which marketing is an admin task, really, it is not going to bring you income most of the time. There's a few weird examples that, contradict that, but most of the time, a lot of that admin work is not bringing us any business. So how can we do it in the least amount of time possible, the most effective way? And that's where, your partners, title and lender, we can give you a lot of tools to leverage and outsource a lot of the stuff that is that fluff filler time. All right, you want to go through this one?
All
You
right.
can see here. That's easier.
So ideal agent weekly structure. So high level weekly framework essentially is lead generations, 5 to 10 hours in that week. Follow up, another 5 hours. Appointments, which usually afternoons and evenings, which is because of convenience for your clients, right? Because they're all working schedules typically. Admin, which is going to be batched into 1 or 2 blocks, and then personal time, which is your priority and intentionally scheduled on purpose so you know how to squeeze in your business blocks around it. And so if you look at this, here's a sample daily time block, right? So we've got weekday, morning, high energy, 8:30 to 10, lead generation, 10 to 11, follow-up, midday, admin, which might be taking care of current deals, maybe doing some other things, contracts, emails, and then afternoon, evening, client showings, listing appointments, and calls. So that's just kind of a quick example of what that can look like. A couple pieces on this. I mean, like we talked about as far as, when you're dealing with emails and returning calls, if you have a clear, auto response, both in your voicemail to say, hey, I always return calls on this time and this time, or, whatever that looks like for you.
Text me out.
You're pre-setting that expectation so that now nobody's expecting a call from you in 30 minutes and you call them 2 hours later. So it's
Very
important to
much
set
on that.
expectations.
The importance with that too is in this business, it's emotional a lot of times, and
Yeah.
emotions run high. And oftentimes, if you answer that phone call from the client when they're emotional, it may take 20 minutes or 30 minutes to get them back to that state
Because you're
of
spending
being
maybe
rational.
15 of that 20 just to calm them
Yeah.
down before you even get to the core of the
Versus
problem.
if you let it go to voicemail, you wait an hour or two to call them back. What's usually happened? Emotions have settled. People are more rational. And it's like, I'm raising kids. I tell them all the time, before you react, stop, count 5 seconds on your hands, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then talk. But because kids, right? They're really reactive, responsive. But when you're learning emotional regulation as a kid or as an adult, it's about usually pausing, taking a minute. So I swear that by time blocking your emails and your calls, it will make them be quicker and more efficient, because then people are more solution oriented rather than angry, venting, frustration, right?
Yeah, it cuts down on the amount of hats you have to wear also when dealing with your clients also. So
And
the
with-
key element of this, or takeaway,
No, go ahead.
is you don't need more hours, you just need better placement.
And that's what I was going to say with this. So look at this. Even if we do 10 hours of lead generation, 5 hours of follow-up, we're at 15 hours. Say you have 2 appointments a week for 2 hours. So that's 4 hours. So that's 19 hours. You have maybe 2-hour admin blocks a week, maybe for marketing, content creation, and whatever else you need in your business. So where was I? 19.
Yep, admin.
Plus, let's do 4 hours, 23. That's 23 hours on your work week. So it's not like we need to have 40 or 50 hours in work week to get it done correctly. It can be done in a shorter amount of time to still allow us all to have the freedom that we want in our life, if you're doing it effectively.
And leaves time for the other nonsense stuff, which is not nonsense. It's still an important part of your business, but it leaves time for those other items and plenty of time to do so. Now, the reason we don't have those listed up here, because reality, these are the ones that are your
High
priority.
level. High level.
These are the ones that are
Yeah.
going to put money in your pocket directly. And that's what you always have to stay focused on.
And then you have extra time in your week to come to a class that you find valuable for your business, right? Or to go to a networking opportunity that is going to be productive for your business. But again, it's determining what those are. All right, I love this one. So how many people think they can multitask? Okay, so I wholeheartedly argued on this one because I'm like, I am the best multitasker. I can do 6 things at once. I can hold my baby and talk on the phone and cook dinner all at the same time. I'm so good. And this was my productivity coach back in the day. She's like, no, you can't. You cannot. And she said, you're right. You can do a passive activity and an active activity at once. That's correct. You can listen to music and drive. You can talk on the phone and drive. Why? Because passive, driving is kind of passive, right? It shouldn't be, but
Second nature.
it's second nature, and you can do it. You can talk on the phone and cook because it's not a mentally draining activity. 2 mentally draining activities. But if you try to do 2 active activities at the same time that require brain energy, you simply cannot do it. And it's proven by a whole lot of studies. And that's the one thing. Turn your phone on silent. We're going to get to that why in a minute. But, down here. So, but the studies have proven that focusing on more than one activity at a time decreases your productivity by 40%. And it lowers your IQ by 10 points temporarily. But they do these IQ tests on people, right? Where they're solely focused on just that and they perform better. And then they do a test where the phone's beeping or there's distractions happening or the radio's on or whatever. And they always score lower because their brain isn't solely focused on the activity, right? So people who have a computer or a phone nearby are distracted at least once every 10.5 minutes. Isn't that crazy? And if you think about it, it's probably true. Why? Because you're getting a text, you're getting an email, you're getting a notification, you're getting 17 group chat messages, you're doing all these things. But the most important thing to realize about this is that once you've been distracted, it takes 7 minutes for your brain to re-engage in what you were doing. So if this happens to me all the time. I'm like writing an email, I'm into it, I'm drafted, I'm good, and then something happens and I go over here, I answer the text, and then like have to pick it back up and I'm like, geez, where was I? I have to reread the email, I have to figure out what I was saying, right? And it does, it really happens. Our brain cannot switch back and forth that quickly. And with that, if you actually take every 10.5 minutes being distracted, the average person wastes 546 hours per year during the workday managing distractions back and forth. That's 2 hours a day that we manage being distracted. And it's true. And the way you can tell that it's true is go to your screen time, look how many notifications your phone is giving you. And I did this exercise years ago and turned them all off. The only notifications I allow are phone calls, emails, not even emails, sorry. Phone calls, text messages, calendar, and my kids' school app. Because I'm like, if something happens at school, right, I need to be notified. But that is literally it. Because otherwise, I was getting 300 notifications a day during a work day. And your brain is constantly focusing on all this noise that doesn't matter. So turn as much as you can off. And either put your phone in do not disturb mode or on silent. And a lot of people don't know this, but you can customize your do not disturb modes, because I have this a lot where people are like, well, I'm a mom, I can't turn my phone off, or I can't do not disturb, right? I'm a dad, I have this, right? You can set them to where certain people are allowed to call you, that the calls or texts will come through, but everyone else will not. Or certain notifications could come through from one specific app if you need, right? So customize it to fit your lifestyle, but at the same time, shut it all down. You'll feel so free. It's actually amazing because, you know, it really is just garbage most of the time. Like, do we really
noise.
care? Yeah, it's just noise. Especially the social media ones.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Another good example is we've all been on a Zoom call and you're interested in the Zoom call, whatever it is. Could be family, could be business, whatever. And you get one of those notifications, you go and you get to it and you figure out what it was nothing, you come back and you're so disconnected from the information being presented to you on that Zoom call that it takes you that 5 to 7 minutes to get re-engaged. We can all relate to that. Now imagine that being your business in everything you're doing. So now, just like to Liz's point, get your phone in check, time block that, set a time block to say, hey, I'm gonna get my phone in order. And spend an hour to go through it, and disconnect all your notifications, make sure you have the proper people going in through your do not disturb, and that way when you do turn it on, you're not stressing over that. You have it set up.
It's annoying to even clear the notifications, right?
Oh yeah, I hate them.
Yeah,
I just
so
go
it's
clear
like,
all real
you
quick.
have to turn it off. And also with that, set screen time for things. And this is one that I fully believe in. So if you know that you're gonna get sucked into scrolling, you set a screen time, like for yourself, a limit that you can only be on Instagram for 40 minutes a day, or whatever it is, 30 minutes a day. Set it, and then it will pop up and alert you. You know, and it's amazing because what it will do is it'll make you be like, oh crap, have I really already been on there for 40 minutes? I didn't realize, because most of the time we don't realize.
Just like that.
So that really helps you to manage your time, is if you know you get distracted by certain things, don't allow yourself to, by limiting the time you allow yourself to spend on it. There's even ones you can do on your computer if you have a hard time on your computer, but there's things you can download where it'll limit like online shopping sites or things like that, and it'll pop up and tell you that this, you know, is screen time.
Mhm.
So there's ways you can really get yourself to focus.
Email best
Oh
practices.
gosh, hold on. Who feels email inbox overload all the time, right? It's crazy. And I know you guys get emailed from every title and lender and brokerage and recruiter in town, right? It's nuts. So,
And we need it all.
what?
And we need it all.
You don't need it all.
No, I'm saying that's the
Oh.
urgency that comes to us
Oh, yeah.
on every email.
Yes.
You need
100%.
this.
No.
Yeah.
But that's why when you have your time block for checking email, it's really click, 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 delete. Really, you know, because rather than one, go away, and then 10 minutes later, delete this one, right?
Except
So,
for the ones from Liz Bratton.
Yes.
Those ones I'm
certain vendors that you love, make sure to pay attention
Absolutely.
to those. But yes, so then go ahead, Brad.
No problem. So essentially, it's look at it, deal with it, right? Don't put off handling things until later. Either respond, forward, and delete.
Do you guys do that? So I was queen of like, mark is unread. I'm not ready to respond to this right now.
Mhm.
Like what you know, if I'm not in my time blocks, if it's just a weekend and I'm checking email, I'm like, crap, I'm driving or I can't respond to this right now, but I need to. Mark is unread. And then what happens?
Or
You
flag
get
it.
40 more emails and that gets pushed down and then I'm like, crap, I didn't respond to that. So yeah, you have to figure out ways,
Yeah.
either look.
And if you're a visual person, sometimes you're not, or sometimes people lose focus of the digital aspect of it, then if you're sitting at your home computer, hit print. Print that email out. Now it's sitting on your desk as a task item that you have to do when it's important. So just, it depends. You got to figure out what works best for you as well.
What I learned what works best for me is in my personal email. So my work email, I can keep it pretty clean, right? It's very, I'd say, yeah, very clean. Personal email is not, because when you've had a same email for a long time and you get everything you buy online, you get on
Oh, the junk mail is
subscriptions and
ridiculous.
stuff, so it's hard to manage. What I do now is if there's something that's important, I forward it back to myself, and that way I know anything that's in my inbox from me is something I need to read.
And you can filter it by you.
And then I can search for myself, and then it's like, here's the 5 emails I wanted to come back to, rather than looking through 7 days of emails to find them, right? Or who sent me that, I forgot, or right? So forwarding them back to yourself is a really good hack, I'd say.
Yeah, and that's actually number 2, is use rules and filters. So that's what Liz is doing. He's using a filter to be able to track those important items. And you can even set a rule for that, to where any email that comes through can be forwarded to a separate folder or separate inbox if it's from a specific person. And then you can take time blocked out and go through those emails accordingly, because you know they're all from that same person. And so before, you know, a lot of people would get lost in the settings, but now with the power of AI, and it doesn't matter what platform you're on, you can actually ask AI to do these things for you. And it will actually, you give it authorization, it'll go in and actually create these rules on your behalf. Then we got use out of office notifications. So this is what we were talking about earlier. If you're going to be time blocking for I am responding to emails between 1 and 2, then you want to have an out of office set up so that every email gets that auto response from you, and that's what the notification is for. If you're out of office, so now that means your email is very important to me. As a way to better serve my clients, I check emails designated times throughout the day. I won't respond to all emails before the end of the day. So if you need to reach me right away, please text or call. So you're basically saying, hey, this is a non-urgent matter. You're not going to get a response from me right now. Here's my time block to do so. But if you do need me, because let's say it is a screaming client or a screaming file, they know how to get a hold of you otherwise, right? And so now you've just cut down the distractions and interruptions tremendously. Next one, provide a clear subject line. So many times we send a subject, which is also why a lot of times it'll give you a pop-up saying, do you want to send this? You don't have a subject line in there. But you want to be very clear and concise, and sometimes it can be very confusing too, especially in our business, because you'll have your world that'll be property address related, and then on the lending side, it won't be property address related, it'll be loan number or borrower name related. So sometimes it's very important to have those subject line matters very precise and corrected accordingly. And then be intentional with your emails. Separate topics, questions with bullet point or numbered lists. Keep it short and sweet, and it's more than a paragraph, requires lengthy explanation, then call instead. I'm a big proponent of the call instead. A lot of times you go back and forth, and this is true of text messaging and emails. You can spend more time just going back and forth because someone's on a different train of thought than where you are, and you end up spending more time trying to clear the air versus just picking up the phone real quick, simple phone call, 3 minutes, you're done, click, done. So, but you have to be able to justify and evaluate that because you don't want to be calling everybody to answer an email, right? So there is a balance in there. And it's just a matter of figuring out what's going to work and what's not, and how twisted or how off track is that email chain.
I think that's an important one because we've all got the frustration before of where you send an email asking like 4 questions and they're like, yeah, sounds good. And you're like, well, are you out of this one? Or are you out of this? Which, yeah, what do you mean, right?
Well, and I think that goes back then to this one here, keep the bullet points, right? So a lot of times if I get, questions in emails, I'll copy or cut out their questions, paste it in my body with my answer highlighted, and then paste the next one, my answer highlighted. Now it's just clear, concise information, and it doesn't get muddled up with noise. And so many times we allow our emails and our text messages to get muddled up with noise.
This one, so Brad's definitely a pick up the phone and call. I'm a less phone call person. I'd probably rather text or email. So what I find is if it's somebody who needs a more lengthy explanation or needs a little bit more touchy-feely, right? But I don't really want to get stuck on the phone with them for 20 minutes, I will do a voice recording and say, hey, so-and-so, it's Liz. I was looking at your file. This is where we're at. These are the questions that we have. This is the scenario that I'm currently running. I'm going to send it over to you right now. If you have any questions, feel free to reach back out. But that way it saves time from composing all that in an email. But they hear me, right? If they're a person who wants that, they're hearing my voice, they're feeling the connection, they're getting the response that they need. But it saves that.
Yeah,
phone
and then
time.
that actually ties into what we talk about in our marketing series, which is using video in that same aspect.
Absolutely.
And you can actually connect with your clients through video, simple video chat, through text messaging, and now you just accomplished a long integrated phone call into one video call that makes your client feel important.
Absolutely. So yeah, really try this. I'd say if you do one thing in your business this year, if you can accomplish that, you're going to save so much time. If you only check email during.
And this goes for text
designated
messages
blocks.
too.
Yeah,
Don't just think it's just email, because text messages fall into the same category.
absolutely.
Especially nowadays with so much more marketing being driven through text messaging versus email, to the point of, what you're talking about, how much junk and spam mail do we have, right?
All right, let's keep going. So boundaries that make time blocking work. It really fails without boundaries. We already talked about checking email. We already talked about turning notifications off during focus blocks. So if you're doing database calls, literally, and you're going to get distracted, turn your phone off, but also literally shut your computer down or close everything out except for your CRM that you're going to put the notes in for the person that you talk to. But don't have any other browsers open, windows, things open, because it's really easy to have squirrel brain and get lost. Train your clients on your response windows, and so set your expectations. We did not tell them, or we do not have to be available 24/7. You do not have to be, and people will respect that if you give them appropriate boundaries with it.
And this one's super important too, because if you're really running your business as a business and you're looking to grow your business to that high level, they're going to understand and respect this, because you're going to have that conversation with them. You're going to set that expectation, and they're going to understand that this is the level of professionalism as to why they're working with you to begin with. So rather than being willy-nilly shooting from the hip, like most agents, you can actually use this as a selling point, both on buyer presentations and listing presentations, saying this is a high-level business for me, so do understand that I keep things very serious. And there's purpose behind it, and you can go into that in detail, but based on whatever your business looks like. But this is important because you can set that expectation accordingly, and that way you're not getting that panicked 8:30 p.m. call because somebody read an email that was sent by mistake from title, and they're in panic mode. They know to take a deep breath. You'll get them in the morning, first thing, whatever that time period is in your business, and because you've already set that expectation.
I think also don't feel like you always have to answer. And so that's, again, by setting expectations with clients in the listing appointment or the buyer consult, and you say, I give my clients my full attention when they're with me. I'm going to give you my full attention just like the rest of my clients, so you may get my voicemail, but I will always return your call by the end of the day. And that way you don't feel like you have to answer all the time.
Yeah.
Think about it. And this is like, if we think about every other industry out there, a doctor, lawyer, insurance person, whatever, typically they're not answering after 5 p.m. ever. And they're not expected to. Nobody questions it,
Yeah,
right?
it's normal business hours.
Yeah. So if we kind of set ourselves up as that level of professional, and you know, that if it's an emergency, I'll be available after hours, or if they need a show or whatever, whatever works for you. And every agent's different. Every agent has different obligations on their time. Every agent has different schedules, right? So, but whatever works for your business, communicate that with your clients and set those expectations.
And this is
accordingly.
super important too, not so much for you guys because you guys have been in the industry, you know, for some time already, but especially for new agents, because when they go in with that mindset to their clients that I'm always going to be available 24/7, it also sets the tone for that problem
Who's in
client, which we've
control?
all had of who's in control. And now you just lost control, and then now you get that problem client that now just drains you and consumes you and doesn't allow you to get anything done in your life until that transaction's closed. And we've all had them, and we all can feel it after you've had them, you know, what that client looks like in the beginning. And, you know, we just choose not to stay away from that because we just want that deal. Well, in reality, how much did that deal cost? Because you could have closed 2 or 3 others in the time that it took to close that one because of all that time and chaos that you allowed loss of control to. So just something else to consider.
And that's such a good point. And I feel like if you let your clients control you and control your time, typically it's not a healthy working relationship, right? So by setting that expectation that we work together, I don't work for you, right? I'm helping you with a service and I'm guiding you, but it sets the tone a lot better. And telling them, you know, it's a lot of people think, well, it's not professional not to answer the phone, or it's not professional to tell them I'll call them back later. It is professional. It is. Not saying it and not doing it is not professional. If people think that you're MIA, that's not. But if you give them expectations of this is how I work and you follow through on your commitments, that is actually very professional.
Yeah.
And then we talked about do the hardest task first. That's really important. I think human nature is to avoid the biggest things that need to get done. But by doing the hardest task first, it sets your whole day on a level of productivity already. Your mindset's better. It releases endorphins in
Level
your
of
brain.
completion and
Yeah.
satisfaction versus doing all these little ones and then you never get to the big one. And then that big one
Weighs
becomes
you
so
down.
overwhelming
Yeah.
because now you wake up the next morning or you don't even sleep at all because so many people will carry their job with them to bed. And now you lost sleep, so you're not at your best, and you have this big, giant task in front of you that then goes into the next day that you still might not get done. And of course, Murphy's Law, when you have a big task, then of course it's going to dump everything and every problem on you for that day also. So it's just always best practice. Just always start with the hardest first.
And the same thing, any conversations or calls you're avoiding, do those right away too. So, or find a way to communicate. You know, do the voice recording and text it to the client if you don't want to talk to them. But little things, little fires can grow big if they're not attended to, right? Things snowball over time if they're not handled. So make
Communication
sure,
is key.
yes. So make sure you're
Especially like in our world to your world, right? I mean, every agent gets frustrated with a lender because something might go awry and now the lender will dodge their call, right? Your clients are feeling the same thing. So just keep that in mind that, you know, communication is key and vital in this industry, and the more communication there is, the smoother everything goes for everybody.
setting expectations with clients. We talked about this already. So scripts you can use. I'm in appointments this morning, can I call you at 2? Or I'm sorry, I already have an appointment at that time. Even if it's your kids, whatever. They don't even know
Doesn't
that.
matter, yeah.
I have an appointment at that time. I batch calls daily, or I time block returning calls so that I can give full attention to the clients that I'm with, or the business activities that I'm working on. Let me put that on my calendar so that it doesn't get missed. And really being always available does not equal being effective. We have to control, our time, our focus, and our attention.
Yep.
All right, you want to do this one?
Absolutely. So at the end, here's the keys to success. Daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly goal follow-up, updating your CRM, develop a routine, which we talked about, right? I mean, we are creatures of habit, so if you do this time blocking effectively, you're going to be developing those routines and those habits, and that's going to be done through the time blocking and daily planning, and then first and foremost, stay consistent and persistent. If you're doing those items, you're gonna have pure success, always.
And we're gonna go through these handouts that we gave you guys quickly. So the first one is a one-page time blocking worksheet for real estate agents. And we're gonna have you guys do this right now, and then you can continue doing it at home to refine it if you want. But ultimately, this is the stuff that will change your business if you actually do this. So for each of you, what are your top 3 income producing activities? And write them down. And if you want to write them on a note page or whatever to be able to do this later, go ahead. But you have to know as an agent what they are and what you're going to focus your time and attention on. So write down.
Every agent's business model is going to be different too, just depending on what it is you're using for lead gen, period.
Does anybody want to share? What are yours?
My model's a little bit different.
Okay.
I do fix and flips.
Okay. Awesome.
So
Perfect.
some
So
of this,
identifying the properties, yeah.
well, yeah, well that's part of it. Well, because I'm constantly checking my emails because if I get a deal, I gotta jump on it. So I'm constantly checking my phone. Anything new came in, whether it's emails, because time kills all deals. So
I guess
For
that's
sure.
a little different if you're in the wholesale business, yeah.
But that's still identifying the email and then addressing it, meaning you're identifying it to address it and deal with it at that time, or you're leaving it for later. So you're still doing that kind of action, right?
yeah, well, kind of more on the reactive side because if I find a deal and it's a good deal,
You gotta go.
I'm confident.
Yeah.
I'm just
I'm
everything
with
to
you.
the side,
Yep.
underwrite, get
Okay.
it, submit the offer,
But
and
that is lead generation for you. But your lead generation just looks different than a typical agent ultimately,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
That's my number one.
Okay. Awesome.
More?
Yeah, or any you guys want to share too? What are others?
Mine is setting up coffee with my people in my sphere.
Awesome.
I'm a people person, so I like that
It's a relationship
face to
business.
face. Yeah, and
So
I just
in-person appointments.
Mhm.
now I have the time because I just retired from corporate, so
Yeah.
I wasn't available in the
Right.
daytime. And now it's like I'm going through and I'm just going through everybody I know that
Mm-hmm.
isn't working. I'm like, let's I have the time now. Let's get together. So
Yeah.
I'm doing a lot of that.
Awesome.
Now, question on that. Are you, when you set the appointment, is it, 30-minute block, hey, let's meet up for some coffee or tea, and do you then drive 30 minutes to this location, then go over here, and then drive over to this location, or are you trying to orchestrate everybody to meet in the same location, 30 minutes, 30 minutes, 30 minutes?
Ideally, it would be that, but no, I am driving from location to location because most of my friends are retired and
Mhm.
a lot of them don't have the health
Mm-hmm.
associated, but they have a network of friends.
Absolutely.
Then I'm like, I'm
So you can
capitalizing
spend a
on
little
that.
time to, time block what you're trying to accomplish, which is, meet these people
Mhm.
face to face. So now it's just a matter of figuring out how to do it a little more effectively,
Yeah,
right? So if you can categorize
An
those
event.
people and take 10 that are in the same general area, you could now stack them 30 minutes on top of each other within that same general area rather than moving all over the place.
right.
And then now take this time block over here for this week, then go over here for this week,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So that would help be more effective. And then knowing you are driving, you now have a time slot that in your time blocking would have drive time, travel time. You could actually put in prospecting, you could put in phone calls, you could put in various things that you can do while you're driving as well.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of time blocking and manipulating around what is working for you.
Yeah.
All right. What other lead generation activities do we have? What about you, Pierre?
I do Zillow leads,
Okay.
so answering my calls and booking appointments and
Mhm.
scheduling them out and follow up and nurturing them. And then I also work at night as a bartender,
Awesome.
so nurturing those relationships. I've had quite a
Definitely.
few deals out of the casino in various departments, and so
Yeah.
just using that as
Absolutely.
my extended sphere and sort of doing follow up and building those relationships. So I'm the go-to person.
Awesome. Love it. Any others? What other income producing activities? I just want to challenge any that actually aren't income producing. That's why I asked.
I have rentals,
Okay.
and sometimes everything's smooth, and then all of a sudden 2-3 fires
Pipe
come up
breaks.
with
Yep.
tenants or toilets or plumbing went out or something came up. Or sometimes too, if I have a vacancy, I'm just
Mhm.
Fill it.
I'm answering calls, screening prospective tenants over the phone, scheduling showings. It's kind of that mixed with the fix and flips, and then I also
Mhm.
manage the construction part of it. So I'm dealing with contractors
Yeah.
or subs, and
Yeah, so your business is really different than a traditional resale agent.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Well, that's fair.
So I'm constantly in reactive mode of
Mhm.
fire. I try to be proactive and plan stuff out, make sure my guys got materials and
That's the
stuff
key
ahead of
piece.
time.
Just
Mhm.
attempt to be proactive
Yeah.
and then have the time slots to where you can move those blocks
Yeah,
around.
yeah,
accordingly.
definitely.
Yeah.
My days are always different.
Would it make sense to hire property managers to help with some of those things? Because to me, those are not revenue generating unless it's filling the vacancy. But
They're-
otherwise,
They're not, but I have turned some prospective tenants
into buyers?
Yeah,
Mhm.
okay.
so that
okay.
has.
So nurturing renters.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
but I think I wrote down the admin work supports your income, not creates it.
Yep.
So I have control issues. Delegating some of that would be ideal.
It's huge, and that's where like a property manager
Yeah.
can only get you involved
Yeah.
in the situations that are needed, right?
And that's a key phrase for a lot of us, you know, and myself included, is you
Giving
know,
up
the control
control.
issue, needing to relinquish some of that to someone else.
Yeah.
So it takes time to build that trust, but it definitely is helpful once you do.
My thought too with that is some of the proactive activities that you can do,
Mhm.
have those earlier before, like, let's say you're gonna start contacting your contractors at 9 AM, right? A
Mhm.
renter's probably not gonna call you before that time either.
Mhm.
You're not gonna be screening a potential renter. So some of those proactive activities that
Morning.
you can do those first thing in the morning or after 5 PM.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? I mean, renters probably would be still talking to them after 5, but some of that way it leaves the reactive time in the middle of your day for contractors calling you, whatever, the fires that you have to put out.
Well, I try to prioritize the fires, so depending what's on fire, whether it's a project, whether it's a file that I have an escrow, whether it's a fix and flip that I gotta
Mm-hmm.
lock down and get under contract, so just try to prioritize those fires. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'll have my day set up ideally how I want it to go, but
You get pulled.
yeah.
For sure.
Well, I think some of this, the rest of it, will let's keep going on this worksheet. This might help you. So, ideal weekly time allocation. So yours is going to look different, right? But allocate if you could create an ideal week for yourself, how many hours would you allocate to finding properties?
Mm-hmm.
How many hours would you allocate to managing rentals? How many hours would you allocate to talking to contractors, right? And figure that out. And for the rest of the agents, really need to write in for an ideal business, how many hours of lead generation are you going to have every week? How many hours of follow-up are you going to have every week? How many appointments, ideally, do you need every week? How many hours of admin do you need? And that's one I think that most agents don't schedule, and that's where they can spend 20 hours a week doing all this fluff. So if you schedule yourself 4 hours a week for admin work, and you have a list of the admin work that you want to get done, then you're constantly chipping away at the admin work. And you don't feel daunted by it because you know you have time blocked to get to it. And you're always making progress. And then, the next one, daily time blocking. Identify what your focuses are for the morning, your most important revenue generating things, what your focuses are for the midday, and when you're going to do client appointments, ideally. So write all this out, and then what your boundaries are, when you check email, what your notification rules are going to be. So put those for yourself, and then make a commitment. And this one's really important. One habit I commit to protecting this week. So I want everyone to write one down. Was something you learned in the class today? What's one habit you commit to protecting this week? And that could be as simple as, turning off notifications and setting up screen time. That can be putting your personal priorities in the calendar. That can be time blocking your prospecting this
Rules
week.
and filters on your email.
Yeah, so there can be a lot of different things that it can be, but decide what it's going to be and stick to it for the week. And ultimately, you can start to shape your habits to get into a routine of doing it this way. And with you, though, I would say with renters, let it go to voicemail.
Oh. Yeah.
Or have them
yeah.
text you.
Oh, I do.
Okay, because then I was going to say then.
It's
Then you
it's
can-
small stuff.
Yeah, and then you
So-
can filter it and just say, I'll get back to you tomorrow, or whatever. It
Mhm.
doesn't always need to be immediate responses.
Unless it's AC or plumbing related.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah, those are the
Yeah.
hot points for sure.
Yeah. So
Well,
I
and even to
know-
that point, even if you have, figured out, okay, well then how much time do you spend, going after a new property, right? And
Yeah.
putting the offers out there. Okay, so then you set that time block daily on that, and then that way you're moving your block. So if you're now set up to do prospecting, and then one of those come into place, now you can switch it. So that way, now you at least you spent the time here that you normally would throughout the day, you just moved it around, but you still now have a time block for the other, right? So just some different things that you
Yeah.
can do.
The next thing is a greatness tracker. We'll go through this quickly because I know we need to wrap up here. So this greatness tracker is incredible and it looks so simple, but I'm telling you, if you fill this in for a month, if you do this for 4 weeks in a row, I guarantee you will see significant results in your business. So it's very simple. You can see it's face-to-face. That can be meetings, face-to-face. That can be a video call, video conference, Zoom, whatever it is.
With the prospect?
Yep, face-to-face meetings. Break bread is coffee, lunch, dinner, having a cocktail with somebody. Great phone calls it doesn't have to necessarily be a client call. It can be leads, referral partners, past clients, current clients. So database calls are included in that. Seminars attended, hours prospected, thank you cards, leads, and deals. So if you track these for a month in a row, I promise you'll see the results. But it's designed to do 10 phone calls a day, 2 break breads a day, and that's probably not possible. Neither is 3 face-to-face appointments unless you're really diligent. But if you set a number for yourself, I want to have 3 face-to-face appointments this week, and you're going to plug those in where those 3 face-to-face appointments land. You're going to schedule 2 coffees this week, and that's all you're going to do, fill those in. But try to get your 10 great phone calls done every single day for a month. I promise you'll see a huge difference in your business. And then, the thank you cards are really important. So if you had a great phone call with somebody, and they either gave you, they were just happy to talk to you, they gave you a resource, they gave you a lead, write them a thank you card. It's really important.
10 per month?
No,
10 per week?
per day,
Per day.
if you can, for a month. 10 per day for a month is the goal. But if you can't, do 5 a day. Do whatever you like, right? You can adjust this, but the goal is to do the same repeatable stuff every day. Whatever you decide is going to make a difference in your business, and then literally track them on here. Okay?
And this ties into our business planning course of the series, which was, to start it off. But this goes into, you need to, when you're creating your business plan, you need to know how much you want to make, which then reverse calculates that into, how much per transaction, and to get there, how many calls and how many, face-to-face meetings do you have to get there. And that's really where this ties in. So whatever that goal set is from you and your business model is then what gets tracked on this greatness tracker. And so we have the daily ones, we have weekly ones, and then you can even carry that information over to monthly and then track that by the month to your yearly goal, which then should be in line with your business plan. And we have digital versions of it if you guys want as well, so you don't have to write on it. But it is just something that most people don't do. They don't track anything in their business to even know what's working and what's not. And that's really kind of the mindset here, is that you're doing the hard stuff, which this is a relationship business in most cases, and therefore you need to be face to face with people or belly to belly of some sort. Even if you have the best CRM with AI interaction and the whole shebang, if you're not reaching out personally and talking to them, they're not going to engage because you're just a myth, you're just a ghost. Right? So those are meant to enhance your personal touch, and that's what this is meant to do, is to track that personal touch and help you stay on track so that you don't lose focus of that relationship side of our business.
One thing I would add at the bottom is time. And add every day how many hours you work that day in your business. And for you, yours is gonna look a lot differently than this. So what I would challenge you to do is basically scratch all these, but spend a week tracking every single thing you do every day and how much time you're spending on each segment of your business like that. And then after a week of that, you'll really be able to see where, you know, what the majority of your time is spent doing. And then that will allow you to hopefully be able to calendar out how your time is going to be spent going forward based on what you're currently doing right now. And tweak it a little, right? That's where you can make it more efficient if you know what you're currently working with.
Yeah.
But that's what I would say. Yeah, yours is probably going to be a little different than
Yeah,
this.
like face-to-face
Yeah.
might be replaced by identifying properties,
Mm-hmm.
you know? Being able to identify a property and then make that contact with them, you know, whether that's an
Contractor
in-person meeting or
management,
not,
you
but
know.
you get where I'm going, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, break breads might
Just a
be
different way.
contractor management for you, you
Yeah.
know, and the phone calls can be to either vendors, renters, right? So,
I'm a big fan of 2 for 1. So like, I go to the barber shop, turn a couple of my barbers into homeowners,
Mm-hmm.
and
awesome.
then they get projects, and I help them with their stuff.
Yep.
That's great.
100%. That's what it's about, right? It's networking, which is why it's important to never forget that every person we come in contact with, because they all have a
Be a
need
client,
as
yeah.
a tenant or as a homeowner.
Yeah.
Every person we come in contact with is a potential client.
All right, well, we need to wrap up. Again, we're Brad Turpin and Liz Clevin with Encompass Lending Group. We would really love the opportunity to work with you and your clients. We do these classes to help support our agent partners, but in an effort really to get a lead from you guys to see who we can help.
And grow your business, because
Yeah.
if you're growing business and we're part of that, then we're growing as well.
A couple things we left for you guys. We have a full product portfolio, really every product you could ever imagine. We can shop rates to get the best deals for your clients. We have a ton of different investors that we work with. One DSCR would be really good for you with investor clients. So if you have people who are wanting to invest, it's a really awesome program where there's no income docs required to qualify. It's simply the rent ratio. Does it equal the housing payment? That's how they qualify. Super easy. And then Brad can talk about CCP real quick.
Absolutely. So CCEP is our credit counseling education program. It's getting rebranded right now as Home Start, and essentially it's free to you and your clients. But you know, come across somebody that says, "Hey, I've got challenged credit," no problem. They come on board with us, fill out an app, send in their paperwork just like they're applying for a home loan, and but then we help them, not to be confused with credit repair. But it is essentially education and counseling to tell them, hey, we need to do this, we need to do that, and it's all on the basis of getting loan approvability. So it could be as simple as 2 weeks, it could be as long as 2 years, depending on, you know, whether we're just dealing with some trade lines with high credit balances or we're dealing with a bankruptcy. But essentially it's helping them and educate them on what they can do and will do if they're interested. So that sometimes it's as little as just moving stuff around and bettering their credit score to get them a better rate. We've also had success stories with you know, somebody that had some student loan debt. They were VA, and we helped them because after they were discharged honorably, then they went and, you know, they developed a disability from injuries during the time of service, and under the GI Bill with full disability under VA, then they can get their student loans forgiven. And so we help them do that as well, and so then that helped them to qualify for a bigger home, because now they don't have that student loan debt. So about, this case was about $60,000 wiped away. So just some different things that we offer to help you, you know, with your clients, because the idea behind it is if we could take one of those, you know, in a year for you, and that's just one free deal that you wouldn't have normally had. That's how we try and bring value.
You guys do ITIN loans?
We do.
And the CCP would be great for your renters because typically that's their biggest barrier.
Yeah.
And it's literally like we have a full-time person who all she does is consult with these people all day, every day and help them. She's a good teacher mentality, like let's help get you up.
Yeah.
And then it's literally like, okay, they're ready to shop now. They're
Yeah.
ready.
You guys have somebody in Spanish?
Yeah.
Loan limits on FHA and conventional?
Mm-hmm.
What's
They went up.
All went up this year.
Yeah.
Again.
Off the top of your head?
Say, Brad, you-
So conventional is 826 now,
That's why I thought 825. Yeah.
and
826.
then FHA I think is like 545. But FHA depends on the county. But so that's just Maricopa.
Yeah. Any other questions for us?
You have a
I
question?
have a question. I had more of a statement because what I've learned in taking these classes, especially with you guys at Encompass, is that with the client, I commonly hear is my credit's bad. I really wanna buy a house, but I don't have a down payment, or my credit's bad. And I've learned with, I have another lender that, don't let that scare me.
No.
I have to, that's not my expertise, but talk to so-and-so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And let them, because there's so many programs available that I don't know,
Right.
right, that you can help them, and it may not, and it's not a no, it's a maybe not right now, but this.
But at least they're getting on a plan, and that's the
Right,
big
and
key
this
piece.
is what you have to do, you
Yeah.
know, and.
Yeah, I just got a new client, last week, well, 2 weeks ago, it was right over the New Year's, and it was exactly that, you know. It was one of my home group agents, and, they, you know, they're in a position now, they're having a new baby, they're outgrowing their home, and, you know, she inherited their current home from her father, who now passed, so they have that home. They want to rent out, it's too small, they don't want to sell it,
Sure.
because it's still under his VA loan, and it'll stay there, right, which is amazing. But then they had some challenges, so we got them taken care of, they're on a plan now,
Yeah,
and probably within 60 days, they should be ready to be able to, you know, do something. But there's nothing more enlightening to a client that now can have a plan moving forward
And thinking that it's
versus
possible.
what most lenders do, which is they pull credit, they see it's in the fives, and then they just don't ever call them back.
right, exactly.
And then that's where people feel lost.
They
They
get
also feel
discouraged.
abandoned, very discouraged, and you know, and then they
We're
just
like,
never
"That's
do
okay,
anything.
We'll get you there.
Right.
You know?
But
We're
then you
super
look like the
squishy.
hero because you referred them to
Yeah.
a company that actually can help them. And
Absolutely.
it gives them hope, because right now they just look at the market,
Yeah.
you know, and the interest rate, and they're like, okay, and I have that, it's not, I'll never be able to, but.
No, and there's so many
Yeah,
things
you
pulling
will.
at their you know strings, you know, to tell them that they can't do
Right.
this.
Right,
And you know, the internet doesn't help, unfortunately. But
Yeah.
and that's why we do things like this, is to take away those barriers. You know, not if they choose not to follow up and do the homework,
that's on them.
that's on them.
Correct.
But at least they had the opportunity, and that's all we're doing. We're just creating opportunities for home ownership.
Yeah.
So to your point, you know, we have down payment assistance as well.
Yeah.
And so if somebody's off the mark on that, that's the reason we created this, was to be able to get them up to that level so that now they can get down payment assistance. And there's no more excuses.
Right, right.
Restrictions, limitations around bankruptcy.
It depends on the program.
Product, yeah.
Yeah, so it's, you know, we can
Summer.
go one day out of bankruptcy. It just depends on the product, but then they're going to be paying an interest rate on something
Higher
like
rate.
that, right? So
Typically 3
compared
years.
to a regular conventional product, which would be 3 years,
Yeah.
you know, an FHA would be 2 years. So it just really depends on what the goals and intentions are.
But again, yeah, we have non-QM products where it can be, yeah.
1 day out.
1 day or 30 days
Yeah.
out, but they're gonna pay a premium.
And it depends on the bankruptcy type too.
Yeah, it does.
Because if they did a Chapter 13 restructure, I've done that as soon as it's discharged. And that's on an FHA product.
Yeah.
Even though they say 2 years, we can do a manual underwrite on that because it was a restructure and everything is set to a certain tone,
Yeah.
right? So it really just depends on the scenario. And that's where this credit counseling comes into play also, because if they did just come out of bankruptcy, then our team will help them get them on track also and say, hey, here's the things you need to do and make sure to stay on point, right? I mean, we can't help them if they miss a payment,
Right.
right? Everything has to be current, but at least they know what they should do, and we help them manage that to some level.
Any other questions?
Well, thanks for coming, guys. I hope we gave you what you're looking for to get out of this class. You know, we're doing these on the weekly, and our next one is
Next
database
week.
management, database mining.
On Tuesday, yeah. So that's all about how to keep in touch with the people in your database, how often to market to them, yeah, and really how to really leverage it to build your database as your most important lead
And then the one after will be our
source.
business planning again, and then we'll just start right back into the series again, so that that way if anybody misses something, they can get it. And then we're starting to record them too, so we can get them
How
out to
many
you.
are in the series?
5,
6.
6.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you guys. Lunch is out there, so
Yeah,
feel free
please,
to
if you have
some.
any other scenarios or questions, we're here.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.